Before the transmigration, the system told me to make 3 wishes. Hearing about such a great deal, I wasn't going to hold back. First, I want beauty that topples kingdoms, so stunning no one can tear their eyes away. Second, I want a noble status that no one dares to bully. Third, I want a man whose power overshadows the world to hold me in the palm of his hand. To be precise, I even emphasized it once more. Make sure you don't turn me into some spirit pet or mount. No problem, it's all set. That sounded pretty damn reliable. But when I opened my eyes, I found myself above the dragon throne, all the court officials bowing in worship to me. Long live the emperor, for 10,000 years, 10,000 times 10,000 years. Just as I was about to say, my beloved subjects, rise. I realized I couldn't move at all. Damn it, I'd become the emperor's most beloved painting of beauties and landscapes. Well, I'm totally screwed. Host, your mission is to have a deeply unforgettable romance with the Prince Regent. What? You damn system. Say that crap one more time. Beneath the resplendent grand hall, the court officials stand in 2 rows. I've been staring at this view for 3 days now. My perspective is forever fixed above the hall. I can see the whirl of hair on the emperor's head. I can see the sunflower seed shells hidden in the eunuch's sleeve, but I can never see myself. Oh, host. You have no idea how beautiful you are. Dressed in a robe of red, with eyes full of tender emotion. You were painted by the realm's finest artist, commissioned by the late emperor. What good is beauty when I'm still just a painting? As for exactly how beautiful I am, I can only guess from the dazed expressions on the ministers' faces when they occasionally glance up, now issuing the main mission officially. Within 3 years, win the heart of Prince Regent Sima Mo, and make him develop an irreversible, deep emotional dependence on the host. My gaze fell upon the court below. Sima Mo stood at the head of the civil and military officials. Dressed in a black court robe, his back was ramrod straight. From my angle looking down, I could see his face was cold and stern, his lips pressed into a thin line. Your Majesty, day after day you lose yourself before this painting, neglecting the affairs of state. This subject humbly requests the painting be removed. Insolence. See that? See, that's him right there. He didn't see me. Don't you come any closer. The relationship between Sima Mo and the Emperor is something I figured out over these 3 days hanging here. The Emperor fears him, because Sima Mo holds military power. Half the officials in court were promoted by him. And no border affair can be settled without him. But the Emperor also hates him, because that very fear is, in itself, a humiliation. During today's morning court, Sima Mo presented a battle report from the frontier. Your Majesty, this is an urgent victory dispatch sent from the border by 800 Li Express. The northern enemy invaded our territory, and our forces routed their main army outside Yanran Pass. Over 6,000 enemy troops were slain, and the remnants have retreated to the northern desert. They will not dare disturb the border again in the near term. Our beloved subject, your achievements are immense. Speak freely of any reward you desire. This subject wants that painting. Absolutely not. That is an item personally inscribed by the late emperor. Request granted. Excellent. Your chance has come. Host, this is cohabitation by imperial decree. Oh, do shut your little mouth. I was in no mood to listen to him. I just stared at Sima Mo's face. Why would he want a painting? The moment I was taken down, my whole field of vision flipped upside down. Then with a swish, someone rolled me up. Host, how does it feel? You try rolling yourself up and getting shaken around like a tossing rice ball. Then I felt myself being stuffed into a brocade box. When are we ever going to get there? Soon, soon. Just bear with it a little longer. Throwing up in the carriage will cost you 200. After jolting along for about the time it takes a stick of incense to burn, the carriage stopped. The brocade box was lifted up. I heard the sound of a door hinge turning. Footsteps passed through long corridors and courtyards, and finally came to a halt in a room. Your Highness, the message has been delivered. I understand. You may withdraw. We had arrived at the Prince Regent's residence. It was late at night when Sima Mo finally came to open the brocade box. The moment he unrolled me from the scroll rod, I finally saw light again. Candlelight flickered, illuminating a modestly sized study. All four walls were lined with bookshelves. The desk was piled with unapproved memorials. Sima Mo stood by the window, looking down at me. At this moment, he had shed his court robes, wearing only a moon-white inner garment. The collar hung loose, revealing his prominent collarbones. Now he seemed to have lost the authority he carried in the court. Instead, bearing a trace of sickly, fragile vulnerability, he was unnervingly thin. The joints of his wrists jutted out. The fingers holding the scroll were very long and slender. I stared at those pale, slender hands of his, and drooled uncontrollably. Wow. If those hands were in the modern world, he could be a hand model and easily earn tens of thousands a month. Sima Mo laid me flat on the tabletop and gazed at me for a long time. Oh my. Don't stare at me so intently. You're making me blush. Hey, you. It's clearly so bitter, yet you force yourself to endure it without a sound. Would it kill you to say it's bitter? No one's going to laugh at you. Only in front of you can I dare to catch my breath. He doesn't seem as terrifying as I thought. Quick, 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 host, seize the moment. And boost your favorability fast. You really know how to pick your moment. The next morning, Sima Mo decided to hang me up. He chose the wall in the study directly facing the desk. This way, I can look up and see you from now on. He stood fully on the chair, coughing so hard he swayed, his jaw clenched tight, a thin sheen of sweat on his forehead. No, no. Host, he's going to fall. Quick, give him a hand. I'm just a damn piece of paper. How do you expect me to help? You can manipulate a trace of spiritual power. I have spiritual power. Why didn't you say so earlier? I tried to summon the spiritual power. And the sensation was bizarre. Like being in a body with no limbs. And trying to reach out a hand. I focused my attention, wanting to push a surge of energy out from the painting. But I misjudged the force. A torrent of spiritual power burst forth. OMG, I'm done for. I've screwed up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Heh, it's 8-pack abs. Ah. Host, you big pervert. I'm not. I didn't. Don't talk nonsense. I didn't mean to. Yes, you didn't do it on purpose. It's just his fabric quality isn't up to par. Shut up. This physique is constantly tempting me to sin. His body kept drawing closer and closer to me. Host, you're bleeding from the nose. Don't talk nonsense. Nothing of the sort. At that moment, ink stains seeped from the hem of the painting. It leaked because my spirit body overheated. What's worse, the ink sweat seeped along the fibers of the rice paper, spreading onto the collar of the red robe, forming 2 small reddish halos. Over the next 7 days, Sima Mo's attitude toward me could be summed up as keeping a respectful distance. He didn't even furrow his brow. 7 days, and this favorability rating hasn't budged at all. Host, at this rate, you won't win him over in 3 years. I'll unlock a new tool for you. Dream entering incense. It lets you enter his dreams and talk to him face to face. That sounds like a pretty good idea. That very night, Sima Mo finished reviewing his last memorial and fell asleep. Soon, his breathing grew long, slow, and steady. The system quietly lit, a wisp of invisible incense, like ink wash spreading. It filled the entire study. Host, the dream entering incense has been lit. Estimated entry into the dream in 1/4 hour. Make sure you seize this opportunity. I know. Let's begin. System, I'm feeling a bit. Wait, host, data anomaly. Paper has an extremely high absorption rate for smoke. Dream entering incense only works on humans. You're a painting, not a person. What? Then why did you light it? System, have I come out? Yes, host. Host, you are currently hanging at a 45-degree angle above the picture frame. Hair drooping down. Expression not very pleasant. Then quickly pull me back in. A maidservant is coming with a midnight snack. August. I shuddered inside the painting, struggling to muster what remained of my consciousness, struggling to squirm back into the painting. System, help me, please, help me. The next day, word spread throughout the regent's mansion that the study was haunted. Have you heard? The woman in the painting in His Highness's study yesterday crawls out at night. I heard she was hanging in midair with her hair all disheveled, staring straight at people. That gaze carried a hint of resentment and a whole lot of creepiness. The steward heard these rumors and scurried into the study. Your Highness, this painting is... The steward heard these rumors and scurried into the study. Your Highness, this painting is unclean. Last night, Xiaozue saw it with her own eyes. The figure in the painting crawled out in the middle of the night, hanging in the air and staring at people. I humbly beg your Highness to grant permission to invite a Taoist priest to perform a ritual and burn this painting. Only burning it will bring peace. Your Highness, system, did you hear what he said? I heard. He said he wants to burn you. This is all your fault. You just had to mess around with that dream incense. Now look what's happened. Didn't enter the dream, and now my life's about to end. Host, I'll take the blame for this. But right now is really not the time to point fingers. Sima Mo set down his brush, looked at me for a few seconds, then shifted his gaze back to the steward. Drag him out and give him 20 strokes. I will say this once more. Whoever dares to touch this painting, I will chop off his hands. Afterward, he walked up to me, pulled a handkerchief from his sleeve. Don't be afraid. No one can harm you. A blush slowly spread across my spirit form's face. Tong Tongzi. Did you secretly turn on the AC? Why do I feel all warm? That's the system notification sound. It instantly snapped my groggy mind awake. Ding. Sima Mo's affection +5. I ignored him, cleared my head a bit, and realized one thing. The way he looked at me just now. It wasn't how you look at a painting at all. Sima Mo had a habit of drinking. Not the social kind. He'd sit alone in his study, drinking slowly while facing me. He couldn't hold his liquor well. 2 flasks in, his face would flush. His gaze would start to wander. But he only spoke when he was drunk. That night, he was drunk again. Leaning back in his chair, he looked at me through half-closed eyes. That night, he was drunk again. Leaning back in his chair, he looked at me through half-closed eyes. Aji, do you think I've gone mad? The entire court, they all think I'm just lusting after a painting's beauty. But they don't understand. You resemble someone. Exactly like Aji from 200 years ago. Even if it's only a painting, I will keep you by my side. I stared at the back of his head from inside the painting all night. Who is Aji? Host, according to this world's historical records, Aji was a consort from 200 years ago. The histories call her a calamitous beauty. A femme fatale who brought ruin. She caused the previous dynasty's downfall. So I'm a substitute? Not necessarily. Maybe. Maybe what? He called out Aji. He was looking at the face on the painting. I don't even have a physical form. And you're telling me maybe? The system fell silent. I fell silent too. The woman in red on the painting still wore a gentle, dignified smile, betraying no emotion at all. But in the farthest corner of the painting, a tiny ink stain quietly spread open on its own. Half a month later, his political enemies made their move. That day, Sima Mo entered the palace to discuss state affairs, leaving only 2 guards at the door. In the dead of night, a man in black scaled the wall into the study. His target was the secret letter on the desk. Then, as an afterthought, he drew a dagger and walked toward me. Ah. Host. He's coming this way. Host, please begin your performance. Host, please begin your performance. Hee, little darling. Have you come to play with me? I hurriedly restored my facial features to normal. Well done. Scared me to death. Quick, 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 help me up, my legs have turned to jelly. Sima Mo returned. He saw an unconscious man in black lying on the floor, his crotch soaked through. Sima Mo glanced at the secret letter on the desk, and the painting on the wall, both were untouched. A lackey of my political enemies. Aji. Are you protecting me? Have the kitchen prepare a whole pig's head, and bring it to the study, and prepare some offerings for me as well. Half an hour later, a glistening, oiled pig's head was carried into the study, and placed directly beneath me. Host, that. Sima Mo's affection for the portrait has increased by 10 points. I stared at that pig's head. 2 streams of clear tears slowly rolling down. I wanted to eat grapes. Anything but a pig's head. I think of you as my husband, but you treat me like an ancestor. Another month passed. Another month passed. The emperor also made his move. It all started during that day's morning court session. Your Majesty, the northern border has just suffered from war. The common folk are left with 9 out of 10 houses empty. To impose additional taxes at this time is no different from draining the pond to catch the fish. This subject deems it unwise. My beloved minister speaks rightly. This proposal shall be postponed. The second decree concerns His Majesty's consort selection. Sima Mo didn't even move his protective board, merely lifted his eyelids. The rear palace already holds over 100 consorts. Expanding the imperial harem is indeed a fine thing, but the national treasury has been strained in recent years. This subject humbly beseeches your Majesty to reconsider. My beloved minister speaks rightly. We have been thoughtless. Let this matter be set aside for now. The third decree concerns the Fengshan sacrifice. This time, Sima Mo fell silent for a moment, then still spoke up. Your Majesty, the Fengshan rite must proclaim to heaven and earth, requiring peace across the seas and rivers, with tribute from all directions, to manifest divine majesty. To hastily perform the Fengshan now would damage the imperial dignity. My beloved minister speaks rightly. After court adjourned, the emperor returned to the imperial study, dismissing all attendants. You, Sima Mo, relying on your military power, defy us at every turn. Are you the emperor? Or are we the emperor? Guards, go handle a matter for us. The next day, Sima Mo's ink was tampered with. I was the first to notice. As Sima Mo ground the new ink, an extremely faint, sickly sweet scent wafted up from the inkstone. Host, attention, the ink contains profound mechanism poison. Skin contact allows it to seep into the meridians. Just as it spoke, Sima Mo had already dipped into the ink. When writing memorials, he habitually tests the ink to see if it's dry. Seeing him do this, I had no time to think. I channeled all my spiritual energy into the skirt hem of the red dress, and the painting twisted violently. The hem of the dress fluttered as if caught by a gust of wind. It curled outward at the edge. A drop of ink fell from Sima Mo's brush. It didn't land on the memorial. Instead, the hem I had curled out caught the ink. It dripped onto the rice paper and instantly spread. The color shifted at once from black to a purplish black stain on the paper. Then a searing pain shot through my spirit form. Ah, it hurts so much. Sima Mo's brush halted in midair. He looked down at the ink in the inkstone, then at the new tear that had appeared on my painted surface. His expression darkened at once. He didn't make a sound. He simply and discreetly replaced the ink, without my permission. No one is to set foot in the study. Then he retrieved a small sandalwood box from a cabinet. Opening it revealed a row of repair brushes, fine as ox hair, and several tiny bottles of gold powder. Finally, he leaned in close to me, squinting as he meticulously traced and filled in the damage, bit by bit. I'm sorry. I failed to protect you. Don't worry, I'll mend you right now. This feels so tingly and soothing. Sima Mo spent a full 2 hours on the repair. Dawn was nearly breaking. Only then did he set down his brush. There, all mended. Let me look at you. Do you think it looks nice? The repaired hem now bore a small patch of gold. Through the thin layer of rice paper, I could feel his warmth and his slow, steady breathing. Aji, rest assured. I will never let you be harmed again. Please, don't say that. The little deer in my heart is about to crash itself to death. I will never let you be harmed again. Please, don't say that. The little deer in my heart is about to crash itself to death. Regent's affection plus 30. 3 days later, an imperial edict arrived from the palace. His Majesty commanded the prince to return this painting. The decree left no room for refusal. Host, the emperor intends to use you in alchemy. Alchemy? What could a piece of paper possibly yield? Once inside the furnace, your spiritual energy will be drained dry and you will surely perish. I will not hand it over, Your Highness. This is an imperial decree. Go back and tell His Majesty. This painting was a gift bestowed by the emperor himself. I treasure it dearly. And it shall not be lent to anyone. That very afternoon, a second imperial decree arrived. Sima Mo burned that one as well. By evening, a third decree came. If the painting is not surrendered by noon tomorrow, the Prince Regent must kneel in penance at the Meridian Gate. Even though the Prince Regent's power overshadows the realm, he could not openly defy an imperial edict. So Sima Mo clutched the painting case to his chest, donned his court robes, and stepped outside. From inside the case, I could hear the wind outside. The winter wind was bitterly cold, scraping against the brocade box with a sharp, mocking whistle. Then came the sound of knees hitting the ground. Sima Mo knelt in the snow outside the Meridian Gate. He knelt for 3 full days and nights, but he never once loosened his grip. The painting case remained cradled in his arms, tucked within the inner lining of his outer robe. Inside the case, I could feel his body heat slowly draining away. System, think of something. If this continues, he won't be able to endure it. The system was also frantic with worry, but utterly powerless to help. Sima Mo's breathing grew shallower. His heart beat slower. Then, his entire body, rigid and straight, began to pitch forward. He twisted himself around, slamming his back onto the snowy ground, so the portrait pressed against his chest. Sima Mo, why must you go this far? By the time the guards rushed over, he had already lost consciousness. Host, do you wish to exchange all your points for a quarter hour of materialization? The cost is deep hibernation. Quick, quick, quick. I confirm the exchange. A red light flashed across the snowfield. The lid of the painting case was pushed open from inside. I stepped out of the painting. The sensation of being corporeal felt strange. The wind stung my skin. Snowflakes on my lashes were cold. Aji. You fool. Go back now. Have you come to fetch me? At that moment, the sound of guards' footsteps came from the distance. I laid Sima Mo down. The red light faded from my body. My physical form began turning transparent. Before my fingers dissolved, I gave Sima Mo's palm a squeeze. Then I returned to the painting. The woman in red reappeared on the canvas. Only her colors were much fainter than before. Sima Mo burned with fever for 3 days. Sima Mo burned with fever for 3 days. His loyal servant carried him back to the prince's residence and poured fever-reducing medicine down his throat. Aji. Aji. Don't leave me, I beg of you. On the morning of the 4th day, he finally awoke. He opened his eyes and got out of bed, rushing barefoot to the study. The painting still hung on the wall, only its colors had faded somewhat. As long as it's still here. He reached out and touched the painted surface, his hand lingering a long while on my face. In the days that followed, Sima Mo changed. He no longer reviewed memorials day and night. Instead, he would stand in the courtyard for a while each morning, sit reading before the painting in the afternoon, and occasionally read a couple of lines aloud to me. This passage, do you like it? This passage, do you like it? In the evenings, he would play the qin facing me. Host, he is setting his affairs in order. What do you mean? His body won't hold out much longer. Kneeling in the snow all night. The cold poison seeped into his bones. Combined with the side effects of years of medication, he may only have a few months left. Everything he does now feels like he's saying goodbye to you. I said nothing. The woman in red on the painting still smiled. But in a corner Sima Mo couldn't see. The ink had spread a little further. Sima Mo. You big fool. 2 months later, the emperor allied with 3 non-royal princes and the border garrison commander, on charges of colluding with the enemy and being bewitched by a demon, surrounded the prince's residence. Not even a fly is to be let out. Sima Mo. Recently, confidential reports have been received stating that you were deeply beguiled by a demonic evil, harboring treacherous intentions, suspected of colluding with the enemy and betraying the state and disrupting the order of the court. By His Majesty's imperial decree, we are commanded to request Lord Sima to step forward and cooperate with a thorough investigation. I hope, my lord, you will not make this difficult. What was destined to come had finally arrived. He walked into the study and stood before me for a long time. Don't be afraid. When I win, I'll come back for you. Host, do you wish to save him? What is the price? Destroy your true form, release all your divine soul. Your spiritual power will pour out in an instant, enough to cover the entire prince's residence. But once the painting is destroyed, you will have no vessel left. A soul without a vessel dissipates within 12 hours. Never to enter the cycle of reincarnation. So be it. Do it. Sima Mo, wait for me. This time, I will protect you. I have no body anymore. But I can see everything. I have no body anymore. But I can see everything. Arrows fly through the snow. As long as I'm here, no one can harm him. In that moment, shards of memory surged from the depths of his mind. A red umbrella, only the handle remained, a hand warmer, its frame reduced to ashes, and a woman in crimson robes. Who took the fatal blow meant for him? You. You. Aji. Let's see who dares to touch him now. The wind swept the paper ashes from the courtyard, carrying them between us. Right at this moment, something sealed deep within my soul cracked open. In the next instant, everything went black, and I lost consciousness. When I opened my eyes again, I was marking and revising with a vermilion brush. Visitors, turn left. Those with inquiries, write your name. Today's queue runs until the hour of Shin. What brings you here? Sima Mo of the Judiciary Office, here on official investigation. The tribute flower records from the Western Sea do not match the physical inventory. This office has come to question the flower minister. What do you mean, do not match? I inspected them personally. That is precisely why this office has come to inquire. Are you suggesting I made an error in the records? This office made no such claim. If the flower goddess has any objection, simply provide the supporting documents. See for yourself. The time, the place of origin, the inspector, all clearly recorded. Inside the waiting chamber, I sat there, wondering how Sima Mo would judge me. He is the high deity of justice, never one to show favoritism. There is no one in the three realms who does not know that. Do you know the offense of concealing divine secrets? What do the laws of the celestial river prescribe? He does. But I spent 7 days watching in the flower fields. The people died, and the flowers died with them. The very earth had split open. I couldn't just stand there and watch. Wait for me. After that, he drafted 9 versions of the verdict. I only found out later. The first few were either too harsh or couldn't hold up under the law. The third version was a full acquittal. He read it all night, then tore it up. It wasn't until the 9th draft that he found grounds for leniency. The sentence was handed down. Banishment to the cycle of reincarnation. 3 lifetimes bound to inanimate form, a degree lighter than the original law prescribed. So the Jade Emperor summoned him alone. When he came out, Sima Mo had been stripped of his rank, banished to the mortal realm alongside me, to endure 3 cycles of rebirth. The moment the verdict was read, a blinding celestial light burst forth. I didn't have time to see his face clearly. Before my consciousness scattered, in my first life, I became an oil paper umbrella. I kept him company for 2 years. When I shattered, we promised to meet in the next life. In my second life, I became a copper hand warmer. I burned myself out to save him, and we pledged to meet in the life after. Memories fading. I could only drift downward. He looked at me. His eyes rimmed red. Sima Mo. 09. Sima Mo. That year, in the heavenly realm, after I left the law enforcement hall, I crouched under the corridor and laughed for a long time. You said everything in the flower garden was under the flower god's care. I understood even then. That was your confession. I know you realized I understood. Then you. Behind the pillar. I saw you crouching there, laughing. The wind was pulling away my last faint outline. I held on with all my might. AG. I remember every word from all 3 lifetimes. And I remember every debt I owe you. When you return, I will repay them all at once. Wait for me. I will come find you as soon as I can. When my consciousness cleared again, I found myself drifting in the void. Flower goddess AG. Who are you, really? Flower goddess AG. Who are you, really? I am the Star Lord of Fate. In the heavenly realm, I oversee the records of karma and predestined bonds. The system was merely a shell I used to make communication easier. Hey. Did you think that when heaven and earth condemned you to the cycle of reincarnation, I would just stand by and watch? In every lifetime, I tried to find a way to bring you two together. But you. In every single lifetime, you found a way to get yourself killed. There is one more matter. Sima Mo did not live on alone. Less than an incense stick's time after you faded away, he took his own life. His divine soul is also here in the void. He will arrive in half a coup. This is your final tribulation. The painting is destroyed, and the person is dead. Only through destruction can there be rebirth. Your 3-lifetime love tribulation ends here. The flower goddess, for secretly diverting the celestial river. Her crime is increased by 3 degrees. High God Sima Mo, for undermining the rights and laws of the celestial court, adds another crime to his charge. You too. Before the words could be finished, a golden light shone from below the cloud steps. A golden light shone from below the cloud steps. It was a joint petition from tens of thousands of people in the mortal world, expressing gratitude for Sima Mo's benevolent rule. The collective will of the people gathered to plead for mercy. The collective will of the people is no small matter. It is the purest aggregation of faith from the mortal realm. And even the laws of the heavenly realm must show it some respect. A 3-lifetime love tribulation, enduring life and death, witnessed by all the people. Enough, enough. The law is not above compassion. Let this case be closed. Life in the heavenly realm isn't what I imagined. It's just a vast expanse of mountains and waters, with houses, fields, and streams, not much different from the mortal world. Sima Mo was reinstated as a high deity. His daily duty is handling the heavenly realm's case files. He arranged his study exactly like the inner chamber of his royal residence. Only the wall opposite remained bare. Would you like to hang a painting? No. It looks so dull left plain. Even a landscape would be nice. You face that empty wall every day while reviewing memorials. Don't you feel the emptiness? The person is already here. Why would I need a painting? Then all those years in the mortal realm. How much lonely wine did you drink, facing my painting? Everything I did was worth it.